Saint-Maximin.
Hi everybody, it's Kris here from the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. Just to let you know, as always, this podcast is now part of the 90-Minute Football Network and proudly sponsored by www.pt-4-u.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. We are going to get straight into business. Deka, say those magic words.
Well, won you now. Get in, lads. Get it. Hey, Mark, you did it justice last night, can I say? I watched your post-match pattern. You did it justice. Well done.
It's amazing because I haven't heard those words in a long time, other than this week. So
Brilliant.
It's
Brilliant.
glad to say I could fill in adequately.
He did well.
I think we're all still on a high from last night. There's so much to talk about in that game. We'll summarise as best we can in the next 20 minutes there. But we knew the atmosphere was going to be good last night with obviously the back of the new signings coming in. But Mark, we expect it to be that good.
No, I mean we normally have it on a nighttime match under the floodlights. It's always special. People tend to go out straight from work and stuff like that. Obviously, we were out early doors, so had a couple of sociable drinks to help aid the atmosphere. But I think up against them as well, because for some reason they hate us, we hate them, and it just made it even more special. Flags at both ends as well. Yet again, more flags, lads. Absolutely brilliant. It's amazing actually to be able to sit and watch it, because we're looking at the Lascelles and seeing all the flags going in there, particularly in the second half. But everybody was just bang up for it, and it showed in the atmosphere of everybody. And thankfully, we then got onto a great result in the end of things.
So, Deka, you were actually sat in the Lascelles yesterday, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
What was it like from obviously you normally just get to watch what's happening in the likes of the Gallowgate with the flags? What was any flags near you?
Oh yeah, loads. Actually, loads. It was very similar to the Brentford game when we went. And obviously they had the flag when Mark grabbed someone. You remember?
Choke slam somebody is the word.
The flags were very similar to that in and around us. You know what I mean? And it just helped build that atmosphere. Everyone's always, there's a few pictures going around. I took a few myself, but there's one in particular I think's being shared probably everywhere, to be honest. And my God, it looks special, doesn't it? It just looks really, really special. And I agree with Mark that having it both ends of the field is fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. And under the lights, it is always special, isn't it? Under the lights, it just, it was amazing. And it feels so much more than just a win to me. Like, it feels more than just 3 points. Like, I woke up this morning as if I'd won a final or something. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but like, it just seems to feel massive. It just feels so big.
It seems like an extra lease of life, doesn't it? Really, that we've been given with that result, and obviously the other results which happened around not just last night but at the weekend as well. We're finally taking advantage of that, and we've got all 3 points. And I said to use when we're in the pub afterwards, or might actually be when we're in the car, Deka, coming home, is that it's a great result for us, of course, is we've got 3 points, but we've also dragged Everton right back into the thick of it. So that's another team involved. And let's be honest, we sat with our predictions on Monday night and saying it's probably not a great time to play Everton. How wrong were we? Because I know they picked up the 2 crucial injuries in the first half, but their 2 new signings in Dele Alli and Van der Beek, awful, barely touched the ball.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. I think the atmosphere that we were creating really, really played a part in that. Because I know, of course, we're on Pickford's back as always. I mean, we always are, and he was really getting it at times. Obviously, I was in the Lascelles, so he was like our end the first half, and it was even my dad texted going, "This is amazing, the grief he's getting." So it was loud, but it wasn't just towards him. It was just the crowd all night were so buzzing. It was electric most of the time, and I think what Mark said a lot of times about us is being on the front foot's one thing, but being aggressive, you know what I mean? The intensity. And I felt like we had that for the full 90 minutes. The intensity every time Trippier or Target or Willock had the opportunity to try and get in there and win the ball, bang, they were on them, which then obviously that just galvanizes the fans. You've got Fraser doing exactly the same on the wing as well, you know, like, and Dele Alli came into the game in Van der Beek and they couldn't adjust to that. They couldn't adjust to the intensity that we were given that match.
They just weren't interested, whether they just didn't seem up for the fight at all. Which, you know, as an Everton fan, you've got to be really worried about that, like, because if you can't, you know, get yourself up in a game like that, which, you know, we've been talking about it being a 6-pointer. I think that's why it does feel so, you know, so special, because it does really feel that way. In the result, getting ourselves out of that bottom 3 as well is massive now. Pulling them back to 1 point away from us, it's a huge result, and I just love it. Take that confidence into Sunday now, into Villa, and see what we do there.
You mentioned Jordan Pickford there, and yes, he was getting shit from the first second. The jeers and the boos that were ringing around St James's Park whenever the ball was even approaching him, what was deafening at times. And early on in the game, I looked at Mark, and when Pickford was there, and I thought, he's not getting fazed by this. He seems all right. Then, as the game went on, you start to see, not necessarily panic stations, but you could tell that the pressure was getting on a little bit. There was that clearance where he just sliced it. But there was a few times I thought, if we keep this up, we're going to have an impact here. And I think we did once again. I think it was an Everton fan that tweeted this morning saying that Newcastle fans yesterday were unbelievable. If they can keep that up for any single team, they'll put every single player off their game. And that's exactly what the fan base did last night for Everton. Every single player didn't want the ball.
Yeah. I told you, there was also, I seen a Liverpool fan tweet saying, and again, I mean, this is, you know, maybe a bit over the top, but he was saying, like, given the backing that they've got and seeing St James's Park rocking like that, like, they could be unstoppable. Like, nobody will want to play here. And we've really lost that identity of it being a bit of a fortress, haven't we? We've lost that identity from, you know, that maybe there was times in the Robson era where it was like that, but we lost that totally under the Ashley era. And tonight, last night, I just felt coming away from the ground that something had changed. I felt like there was a change there in the air of, like, is it now? I mean, listen, we're not going to win every game. I'm not being stupid here, but I mean, like, there was a change there for me yesterday. And that's the way St James's Park should be it 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night. Like, we should be really up for it like that and making players uncomfortable on the ball. Not just Pickford, for example, but everybody. And I definitely felt that was the case. Like,
I want to touch on some of the players, because I think every single player that was on the field last night had a remarkable game, fantastic games. But I want to touch on the likes of the new lads first of all. So starting with Mark's Target. So Target comes in. What a debut that is.
I mean, if anything, he's the one that's kind of gone under the radar, been a little bit quiet. Not like a huge. Doris is getting involved now. Not making a huge kind of fuss about things, but what a game he had, man. He was just no nonsense, just got on with it up and down that line. He just given us so much, like, energy going forward. And what are these bloody dogs doing? Got 2 dogs attacking us. Nice, man.
Like Trippier last night on you all the time.
Involved. I know. So he had so much energy backwards and forwards, up and down that line. It just shows you, you know, what we've been missing in that left wing back position of being able to go backwards and getting forward. Night and day from what we've seen in, you know, although Richie kind of last season filled in well, he's not a left back. Lewis has came in the last couple of games and put in decent performances, but that was a really, really good performance and very, very positive. And it just makes you wonder why on earth, like, Villa are letting him go out on loan and not wanting to play him there. Like, I know he hasn't had a particularly good season, but I can't understand on that performance how that's the case, because he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
obviously Everton signed. Sorry, apologise. Villa signed Digna from Everton, who we were linked with, and I appreciate maybe Target might not be able to get in there, but it does, when you see that type of performance, it is really strange that they would get rid of him. But I've never been as confident with two fullbacks. You know, if they can stay fit, I don't think I've ever been as confident. I mean, Trippier last night was just, oh my God, like levels above what I've seen in that position. I know people like Mankio and all the rest of it, but he was absolutely tremendous. And as you say, Target was just as good on the left. I also want to mention one player before we move on. Jamal Lascelles. Lascelles. I think everyone, I wouldn't say is being aggressively against him, but they're just like, let's, time's up. Do you know what I mean?
Up, basically.
Yeah, time's up. You know what I mean? We've bought a new centre half. Let's get him in. Lascelles was absolutely brilliant last night. Really, I know there was probably only one moment where he let the ball bounce on the edge of his box, but other than that, I was absolutely thrilled for him. I know it wasn't his goal, but let's be fair. I mean, it wasn't for him. It wouldn't have been a goal. And he did well. He did really, really well. So I was happy for him.
Yeah, he did. He picked it up well. He'd like as I say, he made a bit of a rick early on in the first half, and then obviously the own goal. But then he was magnificent after them. Their strikers never got a kick. No. He was winning tackles, blocking, and all
cleaned out Townsend. You know, you probably would have seen it. My God, that was in front of me and Matty. He absolutely cleaned.
Was it not twice? Did he not do it twice?
He did it twice.
Same kind of tackle.
The second half as well.
The second one, I thought you had literally ended Townsend. But yeah.
The thing is, yes, I think you're going to struggle to find a Newcastle fan that didn't want Lascelles replaced in that starting lineup when it got announced. I think everybody will hold their hands up there and now turn around and say, right, fair enough. Credit to you, Lascelles. You've pulled your finger out there and you've had an absolute blinder. We know that performance is in, and we've seen it in the past under Rafa. We have seen that Lascelles. It's been a long time since we've seen that sort of obviously performance by him. But long may it continue.
He did all right the other week. He had
Burnley.
He had a good game where he came out where, and that's the thing. It's if he could do that more regularly, then he wouldn't be coming in for the grief that he is getting on his performances. But we've seen it in his entire time that he's been here. He goes through a phase of having very good games, and then he has poor. And we've talked about getting him out of the side a few times, and probably being the worst defender. And then he goes out and does something like that. So it's it's that. And we say it about a lot of people. It's having that, trying to get that consistency in trying to keep that level of performance. And which we just don't do it regularly enough.
If you go back to the Leeds game, which was obviously our last game, him and Shea were great in that match as well. And I thought Shea again last night was brilliant. And by us bringing in another centre half, I mean, Lascelles will have to know that, okay, I need to step up here, because obviously we've just paid a canny bit of money here for a proven Premier League centre half. So kind of all of them will know the pressure's on, you know what I mean, in areas. And I think if you look across the last 4 games, I know we're really into about last night, but the last 4 games there, we've Man United was 1-1, we conceded 1 goal. The Watford one was the last minute. We didn't concede against Leeds, and the one we conceded last night was unlucky, right? It was a bit of a fluky goal. And I also say the second half, we never looked in trouble for the full 45 minutes. I didn't feel we looked other than one free kick, we never looked in trouble. And I think you need to take a lot of what's the word? A lot of pleasure, you know what I mean, out of that we're not leaking goals here. We don't really look that we're under that much trouble either during games, and I think that's really important.
We're a hard team to break down. We've said it for a while now. We're a hard team to break down, and what we've needed is that little bit extra going forward. And those two wing backs, which we mentioned, with Target on the left and Trippier on the right, that is forcing us up the field that extra 10 yards. And the same with Target being on the left hand side, that gives Saint that freedom as well, just to do whatever the hell he wants. And Saint last night, we'll move on to him. What a performance from him! What a performance from Saint.
Well, I mean, Mark might disagree, obviously, but I'm not joking here when I say this. Like, I mean, some of the listen, he lost the ball a few times, right? And there was one that we kicked off in the second half, for example, and we'll give him the ball, and he danced it around and lost it. I thought, what on earth are you doing there? But there were certain times when he was traveling with the ball. It wasn't even real, man. Like, how can you possibly move that fast while running with the ball? And I shared a clip and I tagged you both in it to watch. The amount of opportunities he created. Joe Linton's one when he kicked himself in the face was all Joe Linton. It was all Saint. Maxi's done about 4 of them on the line, crosses it back and finds a shirt. The one where Joe Linton makes a good save for Pickford is all Saint-Maximin. He beats everyone, gives it to Joe Linton. Good save from Pickford. The second goal, he crosses it and will score. He put some other very dangerous balls over as well. He set Murphy through. How on earth he stayed on his feet on that Murphy one? That lad's trying to drag him down. Just burst past him, sets up Murphy perfectly. We hit the post. Like, it was an unbelievable performance from him last night. And I do agree that the reason why I think that is he's picking the ball up in such a dangerous area, like so much further up the field, and that's where you want him to hurt teams. And it was brilliant, fabulous.
And I don't want to slag anybody off here, but this is what I've been seeing over the last X amount of weeks since Paul Dummett came back into that side. Saying having Paul Dummett there, that's taken that element away from it, because Saint's having to drop back on the halfway line to pick the ball up, then he just starts running across the halfway line, then losing the ball there. Like you said, Deka, if he's getting the ball in dangerous areas because of the fullbacks, and that's ideal for him. That's his game, and that's what he does best.
Absolutely. Look at the second goal, for example. Look where he picks the ball up there when Joe Linton gives him it. Nice pass from Joe Linton as well. Keeps the move going. He's picking the ball up on the edge of their box. And I mean, that is the most dangerous. But you can't stop him. You can't, and they couldn't stop him. It's just amazing. And the scenes at the end of the game where we're obviously singing and he's standing at the Gallowgate, like, this is what it's all about, man, right? And we have to enjoy these moments. You know?
Yeah. Mark, what's your thoughts, mate?
He played well. He played well. I'll happily say it when he plays well. I'll give him the praise and say that he plays well.
No, I'm joking.
The important thing for me is he wasn't playing for himself, which he's very guilty of doing on a lot of occasions, and that's where he comes under a lot of fire. He was much more involved from a team respect. He wasn't looking to do everything himself. He was, other than one occasion I can think, which was late on where he could have rolled Bruno in for a tap in. I think he got it bang on most of the time with taking players on and passing. That's what he was looking to do. He was looking to who was available and looking in there. And I think Chris Wood's got to take a little bit of credit for that positioning thing that you've just mentioned there as well, because he's pulling them central defenders all over the place. He's dropping in, allowing space, which allowed Joe and, well, the two Joes, Willock and Joe Linton, that space of getting up and getting forward and supporting as well. So, again, I've seen some comments towards it, like Wood, around what is he doing? He's not scoring goals and stuff like that, but his work rate, he's running in the lines and that kind of thing, dragging people around, creating space was great, and that allowed Saint-Max to get space and get in and around, and then Willock, who probably he's probably his best game in this season, which isn't difficult, to be fair. It allowed him to get into the box, get involved, and having those two that little bit slightly forward with Joe Linton and Joe Willock there in that centre midfield three is just allowing those two to push on and get on and support, and hey, that's how we were so high up the pitch.
I think it's a great point, Mark. I think it's a great point with Wood, and we have said this for God knows how many seasons. You're never going to look like a top-class striker playing for Newcastle United in that lone role up top. And we mentioned it on Monday night. You go back to Hoslu, and he was in that similar sort of position. I think since they've left, you understand what their role was in the team. And Chris Wood is probably exactly the same, where he's there to basically hold the ball up, bring other players in. I'd be worried if we weren't creating any chances whatsoever. But we're creating chances for other players on the field, not necessarily just Wood. But there's more involvement for everybody, when in the past, the only two players that could see scoring goals would be Saint and Wilson. And now you look at the goal scorers yesterday. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic to get goals from every single position. And somebody else that we mentioned needs to start getting goals is Ryan Fraser. Another great performance, another one.
Yep. And he's getting that extra thing on his sheet, isn't he? The goal, the difference of getting himself in the box. And are you watching it now, Mark? They've just the second goal just happened.
He's just on his goal. Yeah,
I've got it on as well. I've said this a long time, and honestly, I'll go back to the Championship days when I first chatted with you lads. I absolutely love it when a winger if the left winger's got it, the right winger comes into the box for the cross, and vice versa. And that's exactly what happened there. Fraser isn't just stuck out wide thinking, oh, well, the ball's not going to come to me. He's gambled and got in the box.
Yeah.
Which
Wood's livid with him, like, because Wood's got like a straight. The Wood ball's going to just drop the Wood, and he's going to blast that in, and he's getting his goal. But Fraser just pops up in front of Wood and just gets that little touch on it. But again, I thought his interview after the game was hilarious with Dan King when he was like, I shanked it in, and it's just so refreshing. That's like the two in a row that he's like talked about how he's like completely mishit it and stuff like that.
Well, there's an interview with Trippier as well. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet. But there's an interview with Trippier, and Ryan Fraser must be walking behind camera with a pizza box by the sounds of it, and the arguing about who's tallest. Trippier's going on like, I'm taller than you or something like that to Fraser.
I don't know. I didn't see that one, but I did see the one when he mentions the atmosphere in terms of this.
It must be like a follow-on to that, mate, because it's been cut out of the video, and I think the club must have posted it.
Yeah, and that was really nice words, and it looks so sincere as well that he honestly meant it. That listen, I've played at Atletico Madrid and I've seen great atmosphere, but tonight was really special. And he gets it in terms of what he said, that as long as we give it for the shirt and put in an effort, the fans will show that appreciation. And you can't deny that for Fraser and Trippier. That's exactly what we are giving.
Great partnership, absolutely fantastic partnership that they've getting there. And is he getting your man of the match, Trippier?
Oh, 100%, yeah. I thought Trippier was levels above. That sounds harsh when I say levels above, but I'm talking like almost every single moment of the game. He was managing the game, controlling the game, organising, intercepting the passes when he knew. He's so intelligent and snappy in the challenge as well, but wins the ball cleanly, aggressively, but cleanly. His free kick was absolutely superb. He's got an assist on the corner for Lascelles' goal. I mean, it's an all-round unbelievable performance.
And the bend that he gets on that free kick, man.
Oh,
when you see it from behind the goal, it's scandalous, absolutely scandalous.
It just makes you think, like, and there's a lot of pundits, he's giving Newcastle United for money. Of course he has. Every player goes to a football club for money. But Jesus, like Deka said, he gets it, and he's got it straight away from the second he signed to the club. And you mentioned there, Deka, the interview that he does, he talks about all these stadiums that he's played in, the atmospheres that he's been involved in, and he says, I think he goes, I'm not just saying this, but I've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah. Do you know, not to criticise the fans or anything, but like I went to Anfield recently, right? And like what last night was is what I think Anfield should be like. Like it's what I hear and when I go.
That's what the media. So the media portray Anfield to be what St James's Park is like.
Exactly that, yeah. And last night was incredible. And to be fair, it's been incredible since House walked in the door, right? Every single game. I remember Brentford was outstanding. The Spurs game was outstanding when the takeover happened. Bruce was still there then, but last night was even better. Do you know what I mean? It's just incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
It's everybody's putting their effort into positivity, because again, we've talked many times on this podcast around how the atmosphere turns poisonous in the ground and can affect the players and can affect the performances and stuff like that. And hey, we've definitely seen it over the years, but it North makes a change when you put all of that effort into getting behind and being positive and supporting, and just look what it's done. It almost wills them on to win, to get ahead and do it. And
it gives them belief. It's got to, hasn't it? Yeah. It's got to give them belief, hasn't it, and confidence, And I think something that gave me confidence when I got home, when I opened up the whiskey, which I shouldn't have done, was we won that game there without, let's be fair, arguably going to be our best midfielder, right? Like, we've signed a player for £40 million, and for long periods of that game, we didn't need him. Now, that to me gives me unbelievable confidence in that. Like, so Willock's coming back in there doing a job. I thought Shelby was outstanding last night again. Joe Linton put in a great shift. It's just brilliant that. It's brilliant to be 3-1 up without even your potential best player on the pitch.
How's he even going to get in the team for Villa? How's he going to get in that team?
Well, I know a lot of people were upset he wasn't starting last night. I think people will be very upset if he doesn't start against Villa. But to your point, Kris, how do you, like, if Willock's
the only player that's going to obviously come out is Target, because he can't play against Villa with being the parent club. So you probably say Manquillo probably drop there, or maybe even Byrne drop in at left back. I would probably rather see Manquillo there, to be fair.
Yeah, I would as well.
But Bruno, he just doesn't walk into that team now after that result last night. He doesn't. We'll have it. I know. We'll have a chat about him because he made a bit of a cameo. He had 6 touches, I think it was,
well, yeah.
And the stats from that handful of minutes that he got, unbelievable, and he just looked so at ease, didn't he? It looked effortless at times.
That back heel in the corner flag. Oh, I've never let out a noise like that in a very long time. When he did that, it was just something else.
So he back heels it, and Joe picks it up, and Joe tries to run around the defender and with a bit of flair, but obviously just gets pushed off the ball. But it's honestly, I know we're getting carried away because it's only 6-7 touches which he made, but he had a decent cameo there. Like
every touch was quality, wasn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. That was it. Sharp, quality. Like I love the one when he played Maxi through. I thought the pass was actually going to be beyond that, but somehow he got there. But it was Bruno that won the ball. He like snapped into the challenge, got it out of his feet, bang, played a lovely ball. You can tell he's got it, hasn't he? In abundances. You can see that within a few minutes. And I did love. I don't know if you've seen any of the clips of him before he come on. He's like biting his hand in that. I don't know anyone see that. And he was getting himself. Well, obviously the fans were like shouting Bruno all the time.
Getting himself hyped up for the game, like.
And he was like almost biting himself, like and like really like stamping his feet in that and getting it, because obviously you must be thinking, wow, this is like an arena to be walking into, you know. So that was quite mad to see actually when I seen some clips, highlights of that. But when he came on, he just looks like he's got loads of class, loads of quality.
It was a proper cauldron for him coming on. Like was the noise. Yeah. I mean, even just in warming up, going up and down the Milburn stand, like the whole ground was chanting Bruno, and I mean that must be amazing, right? If you're a player coming into a club. Not a huge amount of people have seen him play or have known anything about him, and he's getting a reception like that. Even had a flag. I mean, the flag, and it was right in front of us. It was almost as if it had been put.
It's on your wall now, is it, Mark? Probably, is it?
So, yeah,
bed sheet. Another. I know we mentioned that at the start, but once again, war flags heading out the park. A display right around St James's Park, both sides. Big surfer flag was out. I love it when the surfer flag's out. It's just. Excellent. It was a spectacle last night for obviously being on say BT as well. An absolute spectacle of a game, especially visual aspect of it from war flags. But it's just dinosaur as well. We got wind of the dinosaur, the T-Rex costume, before kickoff. Mark in the pub, I saw a photo of it. Just class, isn't it? It's just class. And I'm glad that we got the 3 points, because if Pickford had played a blinder and there's somebody running about like a T-Rex, that wouldn't have went down well.
It was quality. I just loved the way that he followed him around as well. And then in the Gallowgate end, there was inflatable dinosaurs and all sorts. Man, it's great. Yes, I just love winding him up.
Yeah,
it's so easy to do, isn't it?
It is. I think that's us done, boys. Unless you've got anything to add.
Cool. Yeah, no worries, mate. No about that. Oh, little man's come to say hello. Wave to the camera. Wave. There you are. See, we won you now.
Right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. Random on this. We normally start 8 o'clock on a Monday night, but it was 1 o'clock on a what day is it? I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'll go back to work now.
I know. If you do want to become a member, there's been a couple of years that have signed up this afternoon. You do get access.
I think Josh gave £10, mate. Was it Josh give £10?
He did. I put it on. So thanks very much, Josh. You donated that super chat there. But yeah, your member access, it does get you straight into the Telegram group. There's a lot of sore heads in that group this morning where people celebrated that victory, and rightly so. The three of us, we did exactly the same last night as well. But yeah, thanks very much. We will see you in the next few days.
We won you now.
Get in.